Well, we are live. Hello, everyone. If you are watching live or if you are watching the replay, I am Joanne Webb, otherwise the Happiness Hustler. And this is Stacy Taylor, men's coach. And we are together, the Sacred Relationship Lab, here to answer any of your relationship questions. Ta-da! Have you got any today, Stacy? Got any questions?
Yeah, I've got a good one today. What about you?
I've got one good one as well. Do you want to start today?
Yeah, I got a good one from a woman. I actually love this question because there's so much fucking man bashing in the world right now, about men not doing the work or not healing. But this question, I really love it. And it was, how can I show up and support my man to build a better relationship?
Oh.
So I thought, fuck, I loved it, So I thought I'd throw it over to you to start. What's your thoughts on it, Joanne?
What a lovely question. What a beautiful question. As you say, I've got chills, I've got goosebumps because there is a lot of man bashing. And I just want to talk about that for a second before we answer the question, because I believe that I've always thought about this whole divine feminine rising, but that has got nothing to do with men. The divine feminine is within the men as well. And that's what I feel like we all need to connect with, the feminine energy, which is our intuition, which is our soul, which is our ancient wisdom. And I feel like men, we talk about living in a masculine world, a negative masculine world with lots of misogyny. I actually think men have just been just as much victims as women personally. I really do. I feel like men don't know how to be men, women don't know how to be women. And the whatever controls of society that have had on us as a human race has affected both sexes. So I think it's such a beautiful question, and thank you for bringing that to us. And how can you be there to support him? Well, does he want to do the work? Is he wanting to do the work? And if so, for you to always show up as your best self, for you to always give yourself that compassion. And the thing I've learned as I walk along my man while he does his work is to always stay in curiosity and to ask questions, because I think a lot of problems occur when we know it's our triggers and when we feel something, but it's not always the truth. So to start seeking what is your truth as well. Like, so say if something happens in the relationship, to question, did you mean for it to sound like that? Did you mean to pull that face? Did you mean, or I'm feeling hurt by that? Is that how you meant for it to come across? Because I think when we go along and do this work, there's obviously a lot of unraveling that happens. And if he knows he is unconditionally loved, that you are there as a constant support, but with the boundaries shouldn't ever be disrespected. I believe we heal better and quicker when we know we are safe, when we know we can come and say anything we want. So if he knows he can come to you with his deepest, darkest fears, thoughts, and I know what you say, Stacey, it's always good to go and speak to somebody else. But if you're the person living with that person, if they're allowed to do that, then that's such a safe space. And can you role model that back to him? Can you role model what the work looks like? Because it's a joint thing, isn't it? If you're doing the work and you're evolving, maybe you can talk in story and how it's felt for you along the way, and see through eyes of pure compassion and pure unconditional love.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. This is why I love this container too, because we all have different views, and that's why I love sitting down with Joanne. She has her views, I have my views, and it's beautiful to just speak the truth. The one thing I'd say, a man's number one value is respect. A woman's is love, I believe, and I know a man's is respect. So the fact that you even asked this question shows that you respect him and you're wanting to show up for him. So that's, take a second to give yourself, some love for that. But, all a man wants is to be seen, appreciated, and acknowledged for what he brings to the relationship. A man will move mountains for a woman that does that for him. And that's really how you can show up, is just see him, see what he's doing, acknowledge him, let him know how much his protection is and how he provides and how he shows up for you. Let him know how much it means to you. because like I say, a man will move mountains for a woman that does that for him, you know, and I have a slightly different view on masculine and feminine within men. And I believe, you know, all the men say to me when they work, you know, well, how do I embody my feminine? And I say, don't fucking worry about it. Go focus on becoming a man and watch as you attract in the feminine energy, which will be the woman in your life. And most times that works. This is just my point of view. And so, you know, that soft openness to just hold him, you know, if he's had a rough day, um, and just be there like the queen, be the queen, and allow him to, you know, be that leader that you need and that protector and that provider, you know, like Joanne said with the boundaries, but just show him that you love him through, you know, affection, you know, whatever he loves, you know, like for me, it's always just touch, just a cuddle or a hug at the end of a big day, or if I've, you know, been showing up and providing just that, hey, thank you. And that's all he needs. And that man will move mountains for you. And yeah, effort is attractive, you know, and, you know, as long as it's reciprocal, but usually what we're giving, we're going to receive anyway. So as soon as you asked this question, I knew that there was a part of you that was ready to give. And in giving, you'll receive. And if you don't, like Joanne said, this is when you have to start to look at your boundaries and have conversations and things like that. But I'm telling you, if you want a man to pour into you, just show him acknowledgement, show him admiration, respect for what he brings to the relationship and what he means to you. And yeah, the rest will take care of itself, and vice versa for the men is, you know, show up, be a leader, be confident, be strong, you know, burn up the parts of yourself that don't allow you to do that. And yeah, you'll go to some great heights together as a couple.
Yeah, so beautiful. Such a beautiful journey and such a beautiful question and such a beautiful conversation. And I think, you know, I think you and I, Stacey, have a lot of views that are very much the same. And then we've got our own point of view as well. And I think sometimes it's just verbiage and how we describe things. Like for me, if a man is in his feminine, he's just listening to his own intuition. He's not being put upon by society and outside expectations. It's listening to his soul's calling, to this soul's call. And that's what it is for me, for a man to be in his feminine flow. You know, I don't, you know, it's not about, well, obviously we know femininity is so far away from weak, it's untrue. It's not weakness. It's actually having that strength to go with his inner compass, to listen to that inner compass. And obviously, if he's doing the work, he's getting closer and closer to listening to that inner compass, which is fabulous and wonderful and uplifting for himself, you, and the world, actually. So
yeah, I love that. I have a saying that I share with the men: you want to be soulful and savage. You want to be soulful and savage. Like, you know, how soft can you be with your children? How soft can you be with your woman? But how savage can you be in the world from a place of love?
Totally.
You know, I say a man should be an absolute savage and willing to die for the thing that he loves the most, but at night be able to put that down and melt and be the softness that his family needs. And you know, like Joanne said, however we can see that, whether it's he needs to be more feminine, more soft, whatever it is your, and there's no right or wrong. This is why I love these conversations with Joanne, is we just share our truth, and we know that in some way, shape, or form, you'll be able to pull or extract out of it what it is that really resonates with you. So, and back to that attack on men, you know, it's something that I've really been looking at lately, is just the attack on men and the attack on our children and our women is horrific. And this is why I'm championing, you know, this cause of helping men heal so they can come back to that soulful savage who will stand for something, who won't be afraid to say, fuck, I don't agree with this. You're not doing this. I'm the father of my children. I look out for my wife and family, and I don't give a fuck what anyone of the government or people in power say. You're all corrupt, and I'm going to stand in my truth. And the more that we do that, you know, you're seeing it right now with the attack on our children and the attack on, you know, masculine and feminine dynamics and all the stuff. And you know, we can't stand in our power as men until we heal. It's fucking not possible. And You know, that's why I say it's the greatest act of service to yourself, to your family, and to everyone that you love is to heal. Because on the other side of that, you'll become a man that's unfuckable with, and you'll burn up all of the shit from your past. So it no longer it ends with you. It ends with you. And you know, men say to me all the time, "I'm afraid to step into the work." Well, I said, as soon as you make it about you, you'll be afraid. But as soon as you go, "Fuck, this isn't about me anymore. I need to stop this. I need to heal this for my children, for my wife, or my potential partner, or potential, you know, if I become a father." You won't worry about yourself anymore. You'll step into your power.
Well, on the other side of healing's freedom, isn't it? That's what it is. It's freedom, and freedom to be that sovereign being who you are, not have the weight of the world holding you down, dragging you back, and just being able to see, like, again, like this whole word about healing. Do we actually ever really heal? It's such a funny one, because we will always have our blueprints, but I think what we do have, yes, we definitely, wounds don't come up as strong and as hard, but it's not like you've had a broken leg and your leg repairs. It's not like that. It's about just having a greater awareness, and wanting to see your own blind spots, wanting to see the triggers, wanting to see the messages that your soul is desperately giving you. And once we have those tools to be able to see stuff, yes, sometimes we still have to go and see a coach, or we still have to go and talk to our mate to get rid of some of it. But once you start sitting there and being able to investigate it, nobody can control you. And that's freedom. That's freedom.
Yeah, that's freedom. Actually, just on that, go if you're following me. If you're not, go check out. I had a guy working with me, and he went deep into the journey. And his partner actually just shared an appreciation post for him today, just out of the blue. Didn't tell him, just shared it, tagged me in it. Go check that out, because I actually messaged him, and you'll read my reply. That is respect. That is, I see you. I see what you've done. I see why you've done it. I see how it impacts me, and I want to honor you publicly for it. Like, you're my man. Like, you know, this is what men really love, because that'll just give that man the fire that, you know what, I want to even show up stronger. I want to become better. I need, you know, and it's really empowering. And that man will then allow that woman to also soften and move into that feminine, because she'll know she can trust him. She's safe, she's seen, she's protected, and she's provided for. So, beautiful question.
It's just groundbreaking work, isn't it? And I think, and as a woman, I think I can speak like this. But I think, we are different species, men and women. We are. But at the end of the day, we've both got hearts. We've both got hearts that break. We've both got souls that hurt. And I think we just deal with it differently. Most of the time, men's would come up in anger or running away, anger or shutting down. Women, we just often get emotional. But at the end of the day, when I don't know, when I work with men or women, I see exactly the same insecurities. They're just worded slightly different. I see exactly the same hurts and pains. At the end of the day, each and every one of us wants to be seen, heard, and validated. We want to be cherished, and we want to be loved unconditionally by the people who brought us into this world. And sometimes that just hasn't happened. And so, or it has, but it hasn't looked the way we wanted it to. So we are different species, but we've all still got a beating heart.
Yeah, and I think, one thing I share with my men, they say, why don't we learn this stuff when we're little? Fuck, we could have saved so much suffering. And I said to them, well, you're the catalyst for that happening. That if we do it now, you see it. I see it with my kids. They're starting to look at their stuff in their early 20s, and so if we keep just doing this as men and as women, that's going to trickle down, and eventually all this nonsense that we learn will be replaced by, you know what, these are the most important things for us to learn about, and we'll learn about ourselves and relationship and things like this at such an early age, and it'll change the world.
Yeah, we'll come back to that sacredness, won't we? That's where we're heading. Ooh, that was such a beautiful question. I have also got a lovely question, but it's lovely. It says, there's a lot of blame in our relationship. How can we go from that blame and that defensiveness to the curiosity and the compassion that you often talk about?
Beautiful question. Has this come from a man? Yeah.
This was actually come from a woman.
From a woman, okay. Yeah. So blame is usually a projection of I don't want to take responsibility for my part. And there'll be a trigger to it, right? So when we're in the blame, we can't hear and we can't see. And the first place I'd look at is what can I take responsibility for in this? What's the first thing that I can take responsibility for and own? And then once you can do that and you can both start to do that and you realize that what you're talking about isn't a projection or an attack, it's kind of just what's happened. This is why there's blame and then there's resistance, or then there's blame and then there's a trigger and there's an attack back or a counter blame, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because we are looking for someone to take responsibility for something that really we're a part of. And so, what can you take responsibility for? What can your partner take responsibility for? And maybe even just sitting down and saying, hey, what about if we change this conversation to, rather than, me coming at you with what I feel you've done, what about, can we sit down and take accountability for what we feel we've done to the other person, or what we feel like we've done in this relationship? Because once you start owning shit, then you're actually taking back your power. And once you start to take back your power, you realize that no one actually does anything to you, usually, that you haven't actually accepted or allowed. Once you go past the first time of someone, say, betrays you or abuses you or hurts you or whatever it is, once you go past the first time and you realize that's not acceptable, but you stay, you're actually choosing to be in that environment. So now it's actually part of your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, the first thing is, can you work on yourself to bring enough awareness to yourself to not be so triggered? Like I can have conversations now where my wife can bring the heaviest shit. Like she can just say something and I'm like, oh yeah. And I'll just sit with it and let her share. Because I know it's nothing to do with me. I'll acknowledge it. If there is something to take responsibility, I will. But I'll just hear it. And it's really about taking self-responsibility to work through it. It's really a dance to get there, because both people have to be open and willing to, I guess, take some kind of responsibility for what's happened.
Yep. And I think when we get our head around the fact that everything in our life, post childhood, let's say, is our responsibility, then that's the most empowering place it can be. And sometimes it does feel like a really bitter pill to swallow, because blame is so good. I remember this one beautiful client, she was in her early 20s, and she was about to blame something, and we'd had this good rapport by this stage, and we were having a bit of a laugh. She knew me, we knew each other, and in the end I picked up a cushion and started hitting her with the cushion. I was like, you can't blame anybody. And it was silly, but she was like, I know, and I just want to blame someone else, but it's me, isn't it? And I was like, she was like, God damn it. But you could also see the weight being lifted off her shoulders as well. It was a funny process. We had a laugh about it, but it's really serious. And, I know for me, I was in a hideous relationship, my second marriage. In the end, it was awful. But the moment I took full responsibility for that, as you said, Stacy, I enabled. And it doesn't matter, I can look back at that version of me when I was 35 and we got together, and yeah, I'm a different person now. And if I could have done it differently then, I would have done it differently then. So there's a lot of forgiveness and compassion. Like, this will happen in your relationship. Where can you forgive yourself? Where can you look through the eyes of compassion at yourself and your partner while taking this responsibility? Because it's not just a 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. It just doesn't work like that, life. It's bringing all of these things together and working through it in a holistic way. But the moment I took full responsibility, there was no need for me to hate, dislike, blame, do anything, because all of that stuff is very dense and very heavy. But as Stacy says, if you two can see where you take responsibility within the relationship, that's a place for empowerment. And even if only one of you can do it, well, then be happy that you're the one doing it. And nobody else is to blame. We talk about this all the time. Nobody can make you feel anything. Nobody can make you feel angry. Nobody can make you feel rejected or unwanted. That feeling is already in you. It's just being triggered. And when we actually then turn that feeling around from blame to gratitude, that's different. I'm like, I'm so grateful that this person is making me feel abandoned or making me angry. You know, we will put it in quotes because it's such a big statement. Because I'm grateful, and it's not, I'm grateful that they are showing me that I am feeling abandoned inside. I'm grateful that they are highlighting that I feel angry and there's something underneath my anger that I've got to go and look at.
Yeah.
So, you know, your entire relationship, no matter what has happened, these things are happening on purpose. Nothing has happened to you by accident. You are here to evolve. Your soul wants to evolve. Your soul wants to heal. So you can go into another lifetime or live the rest of this lifetime a lot lighter. So if you can turn some of your relationship around into gratitude as well and start to look for the clues, because everything in our life is just one big treasure map to take us to the treasure.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of putting it. And blame and resentment usually go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So once the blame comes, I'm going to hold the resentment back to you for blaming me for that, and vice versa. And, you know, so create a space to work through it, but then also leave it there. And, you know, maybe go on a date together and leave that shit behind. You know, we're dragging our past around like a fucking badge of honor. And we want to take it with us everywhere and own it and fucking have it as, you know, fucking a badge of honor. But, you know, like find a space where you can talk about it if that's possible, but then also start to create some a new paradigm for your relationship, new actions, new things that allow you guys, you know, to move into this shit. Fuck, I actually do really respect and love this man or this woman, or shit, I love how he showed up for me there. And that will also melt away a lot of the old blame as well. It will dissolve it through, you know, obviously you want to look at it, deal with it, especially if there's some bigger hurts there that are still stinging. But like Joanne said, go look at yourself first, because until you can look at yourself, you always want to blame that person. You know, like I never got this concept and it still blows my mind. Life is a mirror, not a window. Everything, like Joanne said, everything you are seeing is a reflection of you. Like we just haven't been taught that this is actually what we're seeing, and it's being mirrored back to you so you can resolve it, dissolve it, and transcend it. That's what relationships really are. They're containers for our healing and growth, and really individuating from our childhood psychology, our separating or becoming undivided internally from our parents, because we never had rites of passage. So we're still psychologically trapped in time, attached to usually one parent more than the other. So, you know, but create some new experiences and build some new memories, because they'll melt away the old ones.
And blame, I think when we actually break down blame when we're trying to blame somebody else often is a disappointment within ourselves that we allowed something to happen. That's it, because somebody has either overstepped the boundary, that you haven't kept your boundaries tight enough, you've been too loose or whatever. There's things there. Whenever you want to blame somebody and you're looking at their behavior, it's actually just a way of going, I've actually let myself down. So within that blame is that inner forgiveness, going, okay, well, the boundaries weren't strong enough, or I let things go, but now it's time to reintroduce them and have firmer boundaries and actually start listening to my soul, what I want, what I need, and making that a priority as well. Both of you do the same thing. Remember, you're once in love and all of that blame wasn't there. Write a list of all the things that you actually love about each other. Try to see some of that first, because when we can come back to that place where we know there'll be things now that you love about each other, still that you respect about each other, when you can start to see them and when you can start to take responsibility and then have a look at your own inner wounds, magic's going to happen.
Yeah, and the ego loves blame, because the minute I point the finger, that other person's ego is going to go, fuck you, defenses go up, I can't even hear what you're saying, and I'm just going to defend my point of view. So it's really about just, well, okay, what's going on? Why do I feel like this? How can I move through it? How can I acknowledge it? And how can I transcend it? And yeah, the ego loves blame.
I heard a lovely interview with Kate Hudson, you know, Goldie Hawn's daughter, and she was brought up by, you know, if you're blaming, they used to say to her, well, there's one finger pointing out, but how many pointing back at you? It's always about in here. It's always in here. So we can blame, we can point that finger, but we've got way more fingers pointing back at ourselves. So own it, take it on board, and unravel it. It's a mystery
And
journey.
when you get it, when you actually go do some deep work, you'll go, fuck, everything I've been blaming that person for, the world for, my parents for, that I actually chose it.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll go, now obviously people go through some pretty horrific things, and we don't want to minimize that.
Yeah.
But like if you're choosing to stay in something that's not good, like Joanne said, you've chosen, you're enabling it, and a deeper part of you wants it. And the lesson is, how can you reclaim your power in that to take that back? But yeah, like you've asked the question, there's obviously, it sounds like you guys are obviously starting to look at this and realize it's there. Like Joanne said, that's the key. Okay, there's awareness, we're both blaming. Okay, how can we move beyond that? And, on the other side of that's a gift. There's always a gift on the other side of this rough, journey that you'll go through to get there.
Ooh, we never know what we're going to get. And we always get something juicy. I bloody love it.
Yeah, good questions. Like, I love it. And thanks to the people that are actually reaching out, and let us know how you found our advice, like little tips or gold nuggets, or or if you want us to expand on these things, like that's what we're here for. We're just like you, we're growing through life and learning and expanding. That's why I really love these questions, because we never actually know what we're going to get. And you got to just really sit in it and go off the cuff, and trust your intuition and what's coming through for you. So thank you.
And we will be back next week, same time, same place. And until then, see ya soon.
See you guys.